Moana 2, the brand new Disney animated film, and it's a sequel to the 2016 original film. And it's quite interesting with this one, with how this film came to be, how the original plans for this movie. Because originally, like back in December of 2020, Disney did this huge, big presentation, this big president's call that anyone could watch. And they basically announced like 50 projects per section, like 50 projects for Lucasfilm, 50 projects for Marvel, 50 projects from Pixar and Disney Live Action and National Geographic and Disney Animation. And one of those projects under the Disney Animation bracket was a Moana show for Disney Plus. And you're like, okay, you're getting a Moana show. Okay, cool, fine. Well, I might watch it. You never know. But what happened was that current CEO got booted. The old CEO came back in with Bob Iger. Bob Iger saw the Moana show as it was and said, this is too good. This is too good. This needs to be in theaters. This needs to be a movie. So basically what they decided to do, if I had to guess, is they basically put all the episodes together and made a sequel. Basically made a 1 or 2 that was you're basically, if you see this movie in theaters, you're basically binge watching the entire show. So that's essentially what this movie is. Which kind of reminds me of the story of Toy Story 2, which was, hey, Toy Story 2 was meant to be a straight to DVD movie, but then they saw how great it was, and Disney was like, no, this needs to go to theaters. So it did, and the rest is history. But those are the weird thing is, in 2 years' time, we're going to get a live action movie remake of the first Moana. With The Rock, with Dwayne Johnson actually playing Mowgli. There's paparazzi photos of, they're shooting it right now. If you want to, and there's paparazzi pictures. You want to see what he's going to look like as a live action Mowgli, outside just voicing the character. You can see. It's like, yeah, that's a lot of tattoos. More tattoos than he normally has. But enough with background stuff, and I will do a PSA for something at the very end. If you've been on social media and you've seen people on their phones taking pictures of the screen, I'm going to do a bit of a rant after doing that. After that, but let's talk about a 1 or 2. What did I thought of this movie? I will say this: the first film was better. And the story's quite simple. Hawaiian's on a quest to find this island that's linked to more of her people. But there's this god who's going to try to create the end of days and prevent that from happening. And so you have Moana assembling a crew together to make sure more of her people can be assembled together. And it's okay, it's a simple plot. I mean, how you think about it, the first movie is a simple plot and all that. But the problem with this movie is the first act's pretty good, and the third act is pretty good. But what really drags the movie down is some story beats in the second act. The middle of this movie is just not interesting. Like, sometimes you're just like, okay, we're bringing back these guys just because they were in the first film. There wasn't anything that quite interesting with them, or brand new characters who are just there by their plot, the character description. Like, the crew that Moana assembles are meant to be comic relief. There's meant to be comic relief for the sake of comic relief, but there's nothing more to their character. Like, you have the grumpy old man who hates being on sea, and so he's ranting about how he's gonna be seasick. He's just a grumpy old man who wants to be back on land and back on the sand and all that kind of stuff. Or you have the inventor who always invents things and always thinks new things all every 2 seconds, so they are destroying things. And then you have the fanboy character who, this character who is a massive fan of Mowgli, fan of Moana because she knows Mowgli, and his whole thing is like, oh my god, I just love him. It's his fan fiction paintings. And I'm like, these characters are not interested. There's no, okay, this is what they are on the surface, but there's nothing that's deeper in. And some people may say, well, it's a Disney film. It's a Disney anime film, But again, Disney owns Pixar. And sometimes they're interchangeable. They used to be one, but both of them were one but the same fucking dude once upon a time. So they were kind of missing any sort of character development with any of the new characters, and the only characters you kind of invested are the ones who were in the first film, aka Moana, and that's it, and Mowgli, because there was already another movie before this one. So, and then they introduce this villain, this threat, who is she's meant to be like this obstacle character, because a good chunk of this movie we're jumping back and forth, right, to Mowgli and Moana. Moana's on her quest, and Mowgli is on his quest, and he's captured. And so we're like, oh, okay, this is our villain, and clearly these two worlds are going to, the two paths are going to cross over. But this villain is like, okay, this is quite interesting. This villain has a sort of mess towards them. And then it's just like, she's like, with outside a kick-ass, outside of a pretty decent song, she's like, and I thought, this is not a bad villain song. It's been a while since we had a Be Prepared. It's been a while since we had straightforward villain songs. But that isn't the case. She shows up, being a menace, and then she's like, oh yeah, all done. So it just drags on. The second act just is a bit of a slog to go for it, because nothing is really interesting. Nothing is that much engaging. And, to the point where the third act happens, there's a cool... I won't lie, the third act is a hell of a big action sequence. I won't lie. That's one hell big action sequence. But, you're just this crewing new characters and plots and all that. I mean, the villain, to quote, the villain is there just so you can sell a 1 or 3. Or might get some 1 season 2 if there was a 1 season 2, if the show just became a show. But I just this. There's nothing there. The reason, and the songs. There's a couple of good songs. I know a lot of people say that the songs in this one isn't quite memorable, but Beyond, which is kind of the one that gets placed in the trailers, and the song that gets played at the end credits is quite good. The Mowgli song, or the Mowgli song called Can I Get a Tiwu? That's a good one as well. Another one called Get Lost, I Cried Joy as well. That one's pretty good. So there's a couple good ones, but is there the fire sees the calls me? No, none of that. No sir-dee-da. Nope. No madam, no sir. None is like that. Which kind of, but anyway, it's to the point. But because of that second act, the film just turns out fine. Nothing special, just fine. Now this movie's gonna make a lot of money. It's a Moana. It became the first film is the most streaming thing ever of last year. So it's you know, it's gonna make money. You know, it's gonna be great for the kids and all that. There's you know some jokes that worked and all that. But yeah, it didn't really wow me as say the first one did. Now here comes the wet. Okay, so if you've been paying attention on social media, Wicked came out, right? And you know what people started to do? Take pictures of the goddamn screen. And I thought, like, okay, this must be a couple people that we're telling people do not do. Most people have common sense, which people do. But for fuck's sakes, seriously, this trend needs to get killed. This trend needs to stop. Stop. Fucking stop. Because there was someone in the row in front of me taking pictures of the goddamn screen and posting it on social media. First, why the fuck do you have your phone out? And two, why are you taking photos of the goddamn screen? Trust me, people are going to believe you that you went and saw the movie. And the movie just came out. This is opening day. So you probably never seen the movie before. So, you know, while you're taking photos, you're probably missing a very emotional moment. Also, that's distracting for someone. Like, I spotting it, I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, get your phone off. I was that close to throwing my popcorn at this person. And in a way, it's also a version of piracy. Remember theaters? Remember you used to do the whole thing, do not take pictures, do not take photos, do not record? Remember those? You need to enforce those. Or at least enforce them before the movie starts. Not at the beginning with the trailers and commercials, all that. At the like 30 seconds before the movie starts. So everyone can get the fucking message. Because that is some bullshit. That legacy is out the window. Now, thank Christ there was no singing. Because, you know, saw two musicals in a span of 2 weeks, saw two musicals. Thank God there was no singing. But seriously, put your phones away. Anyway, if you're seeing one or two, comment below and let me know your thoughts.